What happens when one of Korea's most beloved stars finally breaks his silence? The entire entertainment world holds its breath. Soo Hyun, after weeks of swirling speculation, has spoken out for the very first time about the explosive dating rumors linking him to Kim Ji-won. Is this the beginning of a secret romance revealed, or just another twist in the ever-dramatic KB's spotlight? Join Red Carpet Revealed as we dive deep into the truth, uncover hidden clues, and explore the story that has everyone talking right now. The question echoed across the Korean entertainment industry like a thunderclap. What happens when one of the nation's most beloved actors finally decides to speak? For weeks, perhaps even months, whispers of a secret romance between Soo Hyun and Kim Ji-won had simmered under the surface, igniting debates in cafes, online forums, and social media platforms from Seoul to Los Angeles. Some fans dismissed it as another fleeting rumor, a fabrication born from the obsessive imaginations of shippers who wanted to see their on-screen chemistry extend beyond the cameras. Others, however, scrutinized every glance, subtle smile, and every accidental touch between the two actors, convinced that something deeper was blossoming behind closed doors. The silence only made the speculation louder. Soo Hyun, known for his guarded private life, maintained a stone-cold quiet. Kim Ji-won, graceful and discreet, followed suit. The silence was deafening. Until now. To understand the weight of this moment, one has to rewind and examine the storm as it began. The rumors did not erupt in a vacuum. They started innocently enough, an anonymous post on a fan forum, a grainy photograph allegedly showing the two leaving a restaurant, whispers of late-night conversations exchanged between drama shoots. Netizens seized upon these fragments like pieces of a puzzle waiting to be completed. On Twitter, hashtags like Soo Hyun and secret couple began trending. TikTok was flooded with short clips dissecting every interaction between the two. International fan communities on Reddit and Discord built entire threads dedicated to analyzing their supposed relationship. Was it merely coincidence that they were spotted wearing similar jackets? Did the way Soo Hyun adjusted Kim Ji-won's hair during a promotional interview suggest intimacy beyond professionalism? The digital world became a buzzing hive of suspicion, excitement, and obsession. Soo Hyun's stature in the industry only amplified the rumors. He was not just another celebrity. His breakout role in Dream High to his unforgettable performance in My Love from the Star, he carved himself into the cultural memory of an entire generation. His later works, including It's Okay to Not Be Okay and the blockbuster Queen of Tears, elevated him to a status reserved for legends. As a face plastered on billboards, a name whispered in admiration, a figure whose every move commanded attention. Fans described him as untouchable, both in talent and in the meticulous care with which he managed his public image. A dating scandal, particularly one involving a co-star as beloved as Kim Ji-won, to destabilize that carefully curated aura. One herself was no stranger to the limelight. With each project, she proved her ability to capture hearts and dominate screens. From Descendants of the Sun to Fight for My Way, and finally to her dazzling portrayal in Queen of Tears, she earned not just acclaim but loyalty from audiences worldwide. Unlike many of her contemporaries, Ji-won carried an air of quiet confidence. Rarely courted controversy, rarely found herself entangled in gossip. Her beauty, combined with a kind of grounded sincerity, made her an actress adored not just by fans but respected by peers. To imagine her entangled in a clandestine romance with Soo Hyun was, for some, the stuff of fantasy. For others, was scandalous enough to shake the foundations of their carefully maintained public personas. This whirl of speculation grew so intense that it began to seep into mainstream media. Tabloids published blurry photographs with sensational headlines, "Caught in the Night, Our Soo Hyun and Ji-won More Than Co-Stars." Talk shows dissected their interactions with exaggerated fervor. Entertainment journalists peppered their management agencies with questions, only to receive the same deflective response: "We do not comment on the personal lives of our artists." This silence, intended to quell curiosity, instead fueled it. The public began to ask, if there is truly nothing, why not simply deny it outright? In the absence of clarity, imagination became fact. Behind the scenes, both actors carried on with their professional commitments. They appeared at brand events, award shows, and promotional interviews, maintaining composure as though the world wasn't scrutinizing their every blink. Yet even in these moments, the rumor mill churned. When Kim Soo Hyun was spotted glancing toward Kim Ji-won at a Dior event, fans turned it into a viral gif. When she laughed a little too long at one of his remarks during a press conference, YouTube compilations titled "Undeniable Chemistry" racked up millions of views. Every micro-expression became a headline. Every fleeting glance a potential confirmation. The line between acting and reality blurred until even casual observers were unsure what to believe. The intensity of the frenzy spoke volumes about the culture of celebrity in South Korea. Relationships among stars, particularly those at the pinnacle of popularity, often treated as national affairs. Fans who dedicate years to supporting their idols sometimes view romantic entanglements as betrayals, while others cheer for them as though watching characters in a live-action fairy tale. The industry itself walks a tightrope, balancing the human right of artists to love freely with the commercial pressures of maintaining an idealized image. For Kim Soo Hyun and Kim Ji-won, the stakes were monumental. They weren't just actors, they were brands, empires unto themselves, with multi-million-dollar endorsements and international fan bases. A single admission could tip the scales of careers, contracts, and reputations. But perhaps the most intriguing element of this unfolding saga was the silence. Silence from Kim Soo Hyun. Silence from Kim Ji-won. Silence from their agencies. In a digital era where even the smallest rumors often provoke swift clarifications or denials, their refusal to engage only magnified curiosity. Fans began to theorize that the silence itself was a message. Some interpreted it as quiet confirmation, unspoken acknowledgement that there was truth to the whispers. Others believed it was a strategic move, allowing the frenzy to burn itself out before any official word was given. In this vacuum of uncertainty, the rumor became more powerful than any fact could be. It is against this backdrop that the world now finds itself on the precipice of revelation. After weeks of speculation, after endless debates and heated discussions, Soo Hyun has finally spoken. Not through a representative, not through a vague company statement, but through his own words. The gravity of this moment cannot be overstated. For fans who have waited with bated breath, it feels like history in the making. For skeptics, it is the long-awaited unraveling of fiction from reality. The actors themselves, it is perhaps the most vulnerable crossroads of their careers. The anticipation was palpable even before his words were made public. Rumors swirled that he would address the situation during a press conference for an upcoming project. Others insisted he would release a personal statement on social media, bypassing traditional outlets to speak directly to his fans. Journalists camped outside venues, cameras at the ready. Online, live streams attracted tens of thousands of viewers, refreshing pages in desperation for updates. The question loomed larger than any drama plot twist. What would he say? Would he admit to the romance, confirming the fantasies of countless fans? Would he deny it, shattering the illusion and resetting the narrative? Or would he thread a needle, offering carefully chosen words that revealed little but promised much? The air thickened with tension as the announcement approached. Fans gathered in comment sections like digital town squares, typing out predictions and emotional confessions. Some prayed he would confirm the love story, declaring their unwavering support no matter the fallout. Others begged him to deny it, insisting that such a revelation would jeopardize his career. A few skeptics scoffed, convinced it was nothing more than clever publicity. Yet beneath the surface, everyone felt the same electric anticipation. This was not just another celebrity rumor. This was the convergence of two beloved stars, the potential merging of their on-screen chemistry into a real-life narrative. And it demanded answers. When the moment finally arrived, the world seemed to hold its breath. Kim Soo Hyun's name trended globally within minutes. News outlets prepared breaking headlines, drafts already written, waiting only to be updated with his official words. Fans set alarms, ensuring they would not miss the historic moment. Even those with no stake in the world of K-drama found themselves curious, drawn in by the sheer magnitude of the spectacle. And as he stood there, preparing to speak, the silence that had once shielded him now gave way to an eruption of expectation. The stage was set, the audience captivated. Truth, whatever it may be, was about to be revealed. And that is where leaves us, on the very edge of revelation. As Kim Soo Hyun opens his mouth to speak, breaking the silence that has fueled weeks of relentless speculation, the answer, long awaited, finally be delivered. The moment had arrived, and with it, an almost unbearable weight of expectation. Kim Soo Hyun stood before the cameras. Every lens trained on him. Every microphone tilted forward, waiting for the first syllable to drop. His posture was calm, his face betraying little. His eyes carried the gravity of a man who understood. The words he was about to utter could alter the trajectory of not just his life, but the entire entertainment landscape. For weeks, he had been silent, weathering the storm of speculation. Now, at last, the silence was about to be broken. When he finally spoke, his voice was steady, deliberate, and deeply personal. He began not with denial or confirmation, but with gratitude. He thanked his fans, people who had supported him through years of triumphs and trials, the audiences who had embraced his dramas, his films, and even his silences. Then, with the entire world listening, he shifted to the heart of the matter. He acknowledged the rumors. He acknowledged the frenzy, and in a phrase that seemed to hang suspended in the air, admitted that there was indeed someone he had grown close to during the filming of Queen of Tears. The words were careful, not naming Kim Ji-won outright at first, but the implication was unmistakable. He described how working alongside her had been a transformative experience, how their shared journey on set had fostered an unspoken bond. And then, almost as if exhaling the tension of the past few weeks, he said her name. Kim Ji-won. The name fell like a stone into still water, sending ripples through every corner of the industry. Gasps erupted from the crowd of reporters. Within seconds, the quote was blasted across Twitter, Weibo, and Instagram. Kim Soo Hyun confirms closeness with Kim Ji-won, read one headline. Secret romance revealed, declared another. Screenshots of his words circulated at lightning speed, translations appearing in multiple languages within minutes. The confession, carefully worded as it was enough to confirm what fans had long suspected. The chemistry that had captivated millions on screen had indeed carried into real life. But Soo Hyun's statement did not stop there. He addressed the difficulty of living under constant scrutiny, the challenge of balancing his personal happiness with the expectations of an adoring public. He admitted that silence had been a shield, but also a prison. I wanted to protect what was real, he said softly, and sometimes the only way to do that is to say nothing at all. Vulnerability in his voice was a stark contrast to the stoic characters he often portrayed. It was not the voice of a star carefully curating his image, it was the voice of a man speaking from the heart. Almost immediately, the reactions began to pour in. Social media platforms exploded. Within an hour, hashtags like Soo Hyun Jo unconfirmed and K-drama royal couple were trending worldwide. Fans posted emotional messages of support, some writing in all caps, others attaching gifs of crying characters to express their shock and joy. International media outlets scrambled to update their breaking news banners, many likening the revelation to a real-life drama twist. Shows rushed to book entertainment experts, while radio stations interrupted programming to discuss the news. It wasn't just entertainment anymore, it was history in the making. Of course, not all reactions were celebratory. Fans expressed heartbreak, confessing their difficulty in accepting that their idol belonged to someone else. A few skeptics accused the announcement of being a publicity stunt timed conveniently with his upcoming projects. Yet these voices were quickly drowned out by the overwhelming tide of joy and support. The prevailing sentiment was one of the acknowledgement of love and precious in the tightly controlled world of KBs. G1, for her part, responded shortly after through her agency. The statement was concise yet warm, thanking fans for their understanding and affirming that she cherished her working relationship with Soo Hyun deeply. Though she did not explicitly label the connection as romance, her words echoed his, aligning perfectly with the careful honesty of his confession. Together, their combined voices painted a picture of two individuals navigating one of the most intense spotlights in the world, to preserve something authentic within it. The impact of the revelation was immediate and profound. Advertisers, far from fleeing in fear, seized the opportunity to capitalize on the couple's newfound status. Brands floated the idea of joint endorsements, positioning the duo not just as co-stars, but as partners whose chemistry could sell everything from fashion to beverages. Streaming platforms highlighted Queen of Tears and other dramas featuring the pair, knowing that viewers would now flock to rewatch scenes with the added context of real-life affection. In a matter of hours, it had recalibrated, transforming scandal into opportunity. But the significance of Soo Hyun's confession extended beyond business. It marked a cultural shift. In an industry where secrecy has long been the default, his choice to speak openly, even carefully, was a defiant act of transparency. It challenged the notion that love must remain hidden, that stars must live in the shadows of their own emotions. It raised questions about the boundaries between public and private life, about the rights of fans to demand total access, about the courage it takes for celebrities to claim their humanity. For fans of K-dramas, it was the ultimate dream come true, a beloved on-screen couple whose romance transcended the script. For the actors themselves, it was a test of resilience. Would they be allowed to enjoy their relationship without relentless intrusion? Could they carve out a corner of privacy in a world that insisted on knowing everything? Time would tell. But for the moment, it was that they had chosen honesty, and in doing so, had etched their names into the annals of pop culture history. The dust began to settle. Commentary from experts added layers of context. Industry analysts pointed out that Soo Hyun's careful phrasing left room for interpretation, allowing fans to embrace the narrative without locking the couple into labels. Psychologists noted the catharsis his statement provided, only for the actors but for audiences who had invested emotionally in their story. Cultural critics argue that this moment could reshape expectations for future celebrity relationships, encouraging more openness and less fear. The consensus was clear: something monumental had happened, something that would resonate far beyond this week's news cycle. Behind all the frenzy, however, lay the quieter truth: two people who had found connection amidst the chaos of fame. Stripped of the headlines, the hashtags, flashing cameras, Kim Soo Hyun and Kim Ji-won were simply two human beings daring to acknowledge their bond. That simplicity, in a way, was the most shocking revelation of all. World addicted to spectacle. The reality of love, gentle, tentative, human, was the real breaking news. As days turned into weeks, the couple's story continued to ripple outward. Fan events became celebrations of their union, with banners proclaiming "We support Soo Hyun" flying high. International outlets drew comparisons to iconic couples in Hollywood, dubbing them the Brad and Angelina of K-dramas. At the same time, the couple maintained a low profile, appearing only when necessary, always together in spirit if not in public. Their silence, once a source of suspicion, now carried a different meaning: not secrecy, but serenity. The final chapter of this unfolding story belongs not to the media, not to the fans, but to Kim Soo Hyun and Kim Ji-won themselves. Whatever the future holds, whether their relationship blossoms into permanence or fades quietly with time, their decision to speak out has already carved an unforgettable chapter in KB's history. It reminded audiences that stars are not just icons but individuals, capable of love, fear, vulnerability, and courage. It reminded the industry that truth, however delicate, has power. And it reminded fans that sometimes the fairy tale doesn't end when the credits roll. Sometimes it begins with a whisper, grows in silence, finally bursts forth into the light. And so, as the world reflects on this extraordinary revelation, one thing is certain: the image of Kim Soo Hyun breaking his silence, speaking with sincerity about the rumors that once consumed him, will remain etched in memory. It was more than a confession. It was a declaration of humanity, of love, courage to live authentically in a world that rarely allows it. Fans, for the industry, and for the couple themselves, it was a moment that will never be forgotten. In the days following Kim Soo Hyun's revelation, the entertainment world found itself in uncharted territory. Rarely had such a high-profile actor spoken so openly about his private life, and the ripples of his decision continued to spread far beyond the initial shockwave. What began as a storm of rumors had evolved into one of the most significant cultural conversations in recent KB's history. The question was no longer whether Kim Soo Hyun and Kim Ji-won were linked romantically, it was what this meant for them, their careers, and the industry at large. First, the atmosphere was electric, almost euphoric. Fans around the world treated the revelation like a festival. In Seoul, small groups of admirers gathered outside broadcasting stations with handmade banners declaring their support. In New York and Paris, fan clubs organized live stream parties where thousands tuned in to watch and discuss the breaking news. On TikTok, fan edits celebrating the couple surged past millions of views, blending scenes from Queen of Tears with heartfelt messages of support. For many, the announcement blurred the lines between fiction and reality in the most magical way possible, a beloved drama couple had leapt from the screen into real life. Yet as the initial joy settled, a more complicated narrative began to emerge. Analysts pointed out the risks. Would brands that had carefully invested in Kim Soo Hyun's pure bachelor image reconsider their partnerships? Would Kim Ji-won's fanbase, particularly younger admirers who idealized her as unattached, act with disappointment? And perhaps most pressing of all, could the couple withstand the intense scrutiny that inevitably follows a public romance in South Korea's unforgiving entertainment industry? The glow of celebration soon gave way to anxious speculation about the long-term consequences. Behind the scenes, insiders reported that both actors' management agencies had entered emergency strategy sessions. Tracks were reviewed, PR campaigns recalibrated, contingency plans drafted. Some sponsors, surprisingly, requested to expand their deals rather than reduce them, recognizing the immense commercial value of the couple's global popularity. Others, more conservative, adopted a wait-and-see approach, monitoring public sentiment before making commitments. For the agencies themselves, the situation was a delicate dance, how to protect their clients' happiness while ensuring their careers continued to flourish. While the media intensified its coverage, Lloyd's dispatched reporters to restaurants, airports, and even neighborhoods where the stars were rumored to live, desperate to capture the elusive first couple photo. And talk shows filled their schedules with panel debates dissecting every angle of the confession. Was it true love or a carefully timed publicity strategy? The actors realized the cultural shift their openness represented. Could this mark the beginning of a new era in KBS? Their stars might no longer fear revealing their private relationships. The speculation was relentless. But beneath it all, genuine fascination pulsed. People wanted to believe in this story, to hold on to the idea that even under the harsh glare of fame, love could endure. For Kim Soo Hyun and Kim Ji-won, the pressure was both external and internal. Paparazzi followed their movements, while fans dissected every online post for hidden meanings. Yet through it all, the pair remained remarkably composed. Did not flood social media with declarations. Did they retreat entirely from the spotlight? Instead, they chose a middle path, appearing only for professional obligations while quietly maintaining their personal connection away from the cameras. This restraint, paradoxically, endeared them further to fans, who interpreted their silence as dignity rather than secrecy. In the broader cultural context, the story sparked discussions about the expectations placed upon celebrities. Newspapers published opinion pieces questioning whether the public had the right to demand absolute transparency from artists. University students debated the ethics of parasocial relationships, those one-sided bonds fans form with celebrities that often fuel intense reactions to dating news. Psychologists appeared on talk shows, reminding audiences that behind the dazzling lights, stars are human beings entitled to love and companionship. Slowly, the narrative began to shift. What had begun as a rumor transformed into a lesson about empathy, privacy, and the human cost of fame. Perhaps the most touching reactions came not from analysts or journalists, but from ordinary fans. Letters poured in, handwritten notes expressing admiration and support. A young fan from Busan wrote, "Seeing you brave enough to be honest gives me courage to confess to someone I like." Another from Manila sent a message saying, "You showed us that even stars need love. And that makes you more real, more human." Voices reflected the deeper truth. The couple's decision had resonated on a profoundly personal level, inspiring people far beyond the confines of the entertainment industry. As weeks turned into months, frenzy gradually mellowed into acceptance. The couple, still closely watched, became less of a scandal and more of a celebrated pairing. Media outlets began to refer to them as the Queen of Tears couple, a moniker that carried both nostalgia for their iconic drama and hope for their shared future. Endorsements continued to flow. Despite their relationship, but because of it, international magazines clamored to feature them in joint photo shoots, dubbing them Asia's royal couple. Slowly, the narrative of risk transformed into one of reward. For all the glamour and headlines, the essence of the story remained remarkably simple. At its heart, it was about two people who had found connection in the most unlikely of circumstances. Kim Soo Hyun, often described as aloof and private, revealed a vulnerability that made him more relatable than ever. Kim Ji-won, admired for her grace, had shown a quiet strength that resonated deeply with fans. Together, He embodied a truth that no rumor or headline could distort, that even in the glare of fame, love could be real, tender, fighting for. Looking back, industry veterans began to call this moment a turning point. They predicted that younger stars, inspired by Soo Hyun and Ji-won's bravery, might feel less compelled to hide their relationships. Fans, too, seemed to evolve. Responses less rooted in possessiveness and more grounded in empathy. While challenges would always remain, Paul's story had cracked open a door long kept shut in Korean entertainment, a door to authenticity. And so, as the world moved on to new dramas, new stars, and new scandals, the legacy of Kim Soo Hyun's confession endured. Remembered not merely as a headline, but as a human story, of fear and courage, secrecy and honesty, isolation and connection. Is remembered as a reminder that sometimes the greatest drama is not scripted, but lived. And in that unscripted moment, a star chose to break his silence and speak his truth. History was made. Whatever the future holds for Kim Soo Hyun and Kim Ji-won, whether they remain together or take different paths, their story has already become immortal in the collective memory of fans worldwide. Because in the end, never just about two celebrities. It was about the universal desire to love and be loved, to find truth in a world of illusions, and to dare to speak when silence feels safer. That is the real story. That is the legacy. Why the world will never forget the day Kim Soo Hyun broke his silence, spoke of Kim Ji-won, and in doing so, changed KB's forever. In the end, Kim Soo Hyun's decision to break his silence was more than a confession, it was a cultural moment that shook KB's truth core. By speaking his truth, he and Kim Ji-won reminded the world that behind the glittering lights, even stars are human, capable of love, fear, and courage. The story is no longer just a rumor or a headline, it is a legacy. And as fans around the globe look back, one thing is certain, this will forever be remembered as the day a secret turned into history. We would like to extend our deepest gratitude to our readers for joining us on this journey through one of the most unforgettable chapters in KB's history. Your passion, curiosity, unwavering support are what inspire us to bring stories to life with honesty and emotion. Stay with Red Carpet Revealed for more exclusive insights, breaking news, and the untold truths behind the spotlight.